she's like pulled out of the way, and it grabs the lady sat behind her, and it comes up exactly like the shark does on the Universal Studios ride, which, as I understand it, was intentional. I think the ride was modified to mimic the Jaws the Revenge movements in some way, or was modelled after it, and so that ride is based on... Yeah, it's based on the plot of the first film, but the movement is based on the worst film in the franchise, which, okay, fine. So yes, the shark rises up and takes off the last woman on the banana boat, missing Thea, and puncturing the banana boat, which I thought was quite fun, because then they're trying the survivors are trying to get back to the beach before the boat deflates, and they just about make it.
See now, but I mean, they could have done so much more with that sequence. I mean, imagine if, let's say, the little girl is further up on the banana boat, and so the shark goes up and grabs the lady that's at the end, and then the banana boat is deflating, and gradually, people are just inching closer and closer to the part of the boat that is deflated, and the shark is just grabbing them one by one, nom, nom, and then. And then, slowly the little girl is making her way up to the front of the boat, and she's like the last one left before they pull it out of the water. I mean, that would have been pretty wild.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. But my guess is that the Bahamas Board Authority were like, you can have one death. We'll give you one. And be grateful for it.
The guy that runs the banana boat company would only allow one. Yeah. Which, actually, while we're talking about the Bahamas here again, we have forgotten one of the essential elements of this sequence. What is it about the Jaws movies and the mayor characters? Because the mayor in this film is so just nutty. I love his little speech that he does with, dedicating this weird artwork that Michael's wife has done. And he's like cracking these weird jokes and stuff. He's such a character. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. Cyprian R. Dubé, something like that. But he's a nut.
Yeah, the artwork is odd. And he's saying like this represents the Bahamas and how it's better living there. And I was like, it's a model of a shark, kind of. How is this bright red abstract shark? What are you talking about? Fine. Yes, I did kind of hope that. Well, actually, no. I think had the actor behind Mayor Vaughn, had Murray Hamilton passed away before this film got made. I think he had. He passed. Yes, he passed the year before. So when it opened in Amity Island, I did kind of think, maybe the mayor's gonna make a cameo, but no.
Could have had, if he had still been around, he could have gone down there and been like, on vacation or something like that. Like how J.W. Pepper shows up again in the James Bond series.
Yep, fantastic. Fully on board. The greatest character from the James Bond franchise, Sheriff J.W. Pepper.
You don't really mean that, Jay.
I absolutely don't. But as someone who's not a huge fan of the Roger Moore era of films, he was a bright spot of like, my God, what are they doing with this? This guy again? He's terrible, but in a...
I love Live and Let Die. Live and Let Die is my favorite one. Not because of the sheriff, but when he shows up again in... Which one is next then? Man with the Golden Gun? Is that what he shows up in?
Yes.
Yeah, when he shows up again, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like one of the biggest eye roll moments in cinema history. But
Oh yeah, and he's then in that great jump with the terrible slide whistle behind it. He's the other person in the car. What are you doing, boy? And it's just it's just so many bad choices. So Ellen takes this to mean that no one in her family is safe while that shark is out there. So she commandeers Jake and Michael's boat, Neptune's Folly. She does a very Brody move of just taking out a boat on her own.
Which have we seen anything up to this point to indicate that she knows the first thing about driving a boat?
Oh, well, she's on the boat in Jaws 2. She, Martin, and Martin's deputy take one of the boats, but that's it. That's the only time we've seen her on a boat, other than the ferry that they're on her during this film when she breaks down.
And I don't know what she expects to do once she gets out there, because there's not a lick of equipment on the boat when she takes it.
I have no idea what her plan is. This is the ending to this film is so contrived because she only needs saving because she went out there. It's not like she's stuck in this situation. She just something snapped inside her and she just decided to put herself in danger, which made the rest of the characters have to go and save her.
I know what she's going to do. I figured it out because we've already established that she has Jedi powers. She's going to go out there and put a chokehold, the Jedi choking thing on the shark.
Wait,
so
are you implying that she's a Sith? Because only the Sith use the choking.
Luke uses the choking. Luke uses the choking in Return of the Jedi. He chokes two of Jabba's guards.
You're right. Yep, I forget that one. Okay.
But you're absolutely right, though. I mean, Lorraine Gary would obviously be Sith. I mean, come on.
What am I thinking? Of course. I mean, well, given her the outfits that she wears in this film, she does kind of look like a Cruella de Vil's sister at times, which is
only a Sith would dress like that.
Yes. So she takes out the boat single-handedly. It's a decent sized boat. I doubt one person could handle this thing alone. So as soon as they realise this, Michael then returns because he and Jake took out a smaller boat. Finds out that his daughter was almost attacked. Reveals that he knew about the shark. Before we really get into that, he leaves with Jake, and they they take their little boat again. They run into Hoagie, and he's like, "You're never going to catch her in that thing." So they take the plane. Great. Three of them fly around with the plane. They can't find her immediately. They check on another boat that looks identical. Then they find her just as the shark's attacking, and they crash into the sea.
This is why I think why Hoagie is independently wealthy. That he's just like, we'll just sink the plane.
As they were landing, I was like, I thought they would have established this being a seaplane if this was possible. Oh no, this is the death of the plane. I was like...
Well, and again, it's one of those things where you go, well, what did they expect to do out there? Because it's not like the plane is not a pontoon plane. So he's like, all right, well, we're going to go out there and catch her. We're going to take the plane. But it's like, Hoagie, have you been flying planes long enough to know there's not a runway out there in the middle of the ocean? And I mean, was Mario Van Peebles going to parachute out or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I did kind of think maybe they're going to fly close enough and the other two are just going to drop out and swim to the boat. That's going to be dangerous because there's a shark in the... But no, they just drop that plane right in the sea. And down it goes, and Michael Caine goes down with it. They're scaring the shark off.
Yeah.
Well, he does, and then he survived.
Because he's Michael Caine.
Well, he's like, they land, they scare the shark off. Great. But Michael and Jake jump out, swim to the boat. Michael Hoagie's on the plane, and we're a family-friendly podcast, so I'm not going to give this exact line. But he's like stood in the doorway. Shark appears. He's like, "Oh!" and just disappears. It's like, "Oh crap!" But not that. Which was delightful that was his response, because I was like, "Yeah, fantastic." And he disappears, but then he reappears other side of the boat, and they're like, "Oh, how did you do that?" And his response was, "It wasn't easy." Which it seems pretty easy. You just write "Hoagie survives" in the script, which I loved. So they're all alive on the boat, and Jake comes up with a plan to use the device that's tracking the heartbeat of the shark to confuse. He puts something in this shark's mouth.
Something about electromagnetic something or other. Yeah.
So the shark's going to be chasing itself. Basically, is how I understood it. It puts a device in which makes the shark think that what it's trying to chase is inside it, which is just going to send it insane.
Mm-hmm.
Which it does, and it causing the shark to repeatedly rise out of the water, roaring in that wonderful way that sharks do in films.
I was trying to place. I'm like, well, that's a standard roar sound we've heard in many films before. But I was trying to think. It's not Godzilla's roar. I was trying to think if it was King Kong's. It's something that I'm sure somebody who's got a lot more time to analyze it all could figure out what classic monsters have had that roar before. It's something we've definitely heard.
It's like that. There's that falcon screech that whenever you hear a bird noise is always the same one in all films. And there's a truck noise, a noise of a truck driving past, which is the same in many, many things. I kind of wanted the shark just do a Wilhelm scream, if I'm honest. That would be wonderful.
That would have been fantastic.
So they're all on the boat. Jake's got this plan to... in acting out Jake's plan, the boat is a bit damaged from the shark, so it is taking on water. So when Hoagie shouting out, like, the bilge pump stuff, Ellen does seem to know what he's talking about, so... She does have some boating experience. She knows what some things are. But
now, wait a second, though. I'm thinking about this more with Ellen's degree of boating experience, because, I mean, isn't one of the whole plot points of the first film that her husband doesn't like going out on boats? So it's not like she would have just picked it up from him or something like that.
And in by the second one, he doesn't know how to use a boat. Like, he takes the boat on his own and is like, well, hang on, I don't know how to do this. And he just like cobbles it together and crashes into an island.
I mean, I'm not saying it's not possible that she knew, how to pilot a boat. I don't know what the right terminology is there. But yeah, I mean, it's not like their family went for outings on boats and stuff. So,
well, Michael is adept at it because he's a marine biologist by some extent. So maybe to become closer to him, she's taken up boating in some way. I don't know. It's not out of the realm of possibility. Things could have happened. She lives up by the beach on an island, so it could have happened. I don't know. She took up boating after her husband passed away as a hobby. Perhaps. Regardless, she knows how to empty out the bilge pump of a boat. So fine. So yeah, in the staging of this plan, in the feeding of the shark, this device that's going to send it insane, Jake gets killed. He definitively dies. He is ripped from the boat. He's eaten. He's in the shark's mouth. He passes away, which is what happens in the theatrical cut of the film. That's the last we see of Jake. He dies. But that didn't go down well, apparently, in the US screenings. So before the film got released in the rest of the world and on DVD, they reshot it so that he comes back at the end, seriously injured, near death, but alive. But so near death that he wouldn't survive the journey back to shore, I think. He's bleeding so much, other sharks will come.
They couldn't. I mean, they couldn't take another boat to get out there. They had to get the plane, so they're out there pretty far. And he's just been, I mean, it's comparable to Robert Shaw's in the first film. I mean, that shark is munching down on his midsection there. I don't think he would have made it. But
how great would it have been if when Jake bobs up alive at the end, Quint bobbed up alive at the end as well? This character died, but also this other character who definitely died has somehow drifted from Martha's Vineyard to the Bahamas and has survived 12 years later. He's been grabbing the odd fish and living off that the whole time.
Now, though, as I was watching it, I was thinking, I mean, they have pulled this before because, I mean, basically, they do this with Hooper in the first film. We think that he's gone, and then he comes back at the end. So, I mean, there is precedent for beloved, or in this case, not as beloved characters coming back after we think they're dead.
Yeah. Well, I'd say of the main three, I think Hooper is the least beloved. I think, I think Brody and Quint are the more significant members of that trio, in my opinion. Other opinions may vary.
They're all beloved in their own ways.
Yes. Okay.
I mean, Richard Dreyfuss is just crazy Richard Dreyfuss. So,
yeah, he's the only one who's still alive. So yes, after Jake definitely dies, the others rally around it and rally around the boat and do what they can. They're just trying to like bail out the water and keep going. And Ellen has control of the wheel and runs into the shark. She runs the shark through with the now pointy, the bowsprit, I think, of the.